How is that image projected in your mind? An Earth existing without the sun.
An asteroid.
An asteroid just runs wild in the universe because it doesn't have a sun to run around, right? Crazy stuff. It makes absolutely no sense. We cannot have credibility as Christians going into the world and telling them that for 3 days the Earth just ran wild through the universe without the sun to go around. But there was evening and there was night. The sun was not yet made. Come on. Come on, people. What did God create the third day?
Vegetation.
Vegetation. Ever heard of photosynthesis? What is photosynthesis?
Using light.
Huh?
Using the sun to make food.
Plants live with the sun. They transform the energy of the sun into nourishment. The suns are made on the third day. The sun is made on the fourth day. It makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense scientifically speaking, correct? Don't go telling people that this is how God made the world, because that's not how He made the world. Let's get a good night's sleep and we'll see why these are in this order. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them up in the dome of the sky to give light on the earth, to rule over day and over night, and to separate the light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the fourth day. No mention of the sun.
So is the greater light?
Yes, but it's not named. And so if the sun is so important to Egyptians, for Jews it's mentioned only very late, as late as possible. Do you understand what is happening here? It's not a scientific account how the world was created. It's a religious book that is telling you don't worship the sun. Same with the stars. Do you know that ancient populations had oracles who looked at the stars and they told everybody's destiny? You're going to go to war and you're going to die, or now it's a good time to get married. Go ahead, have a bunch of kids, right? But here, why did God make the sun and the moon and the stars? Why did God make the sun and the moon and the stars? Look at the text. In verse 14 was the first reason. To separate the day from the night. Why do you think that would be important? Because on the seventh day. Because on the seventh day you need to rest. So it's very important, and girls, you asked me about time. It's very important to have 24-hour days so that we would know when to rest, correct? What is the purpose of the sun and of the moon? To remind you to rest. It goes back to God, don't worship them, right? Let's continue. What is their other purpose?
To give light longer.
No, don't go that far. Signs for seasons and for days and for years, right?
So for time.
For time. And it's sacred time. When do you celebrate Passover? Would be a question for Jews, because now we're going to have to celebrate these feast days. Look at the stars and the moon, and that's what they're telling you. For us Christians, is it important to know the stars and the moon and the sun for our feast days? Why?
For Easter is the Sunday after the full moon.
Easter is the first Sunday after full moon, so you see you need the moon, right? After what?
Equinox.
The spring equinox, right? Or the vernal equinox. Some of you might know it. What is the vernal equinox? I cannot hear you. It's the time of the year when the day and the night are equal. You know how day and night, sometimes the day is longer in the summer, right? And then the days are shorter in the winter. So twice a year in the spring and in the fall, the day and night are equal. You see why you need the sun and the moon to worship God? So all of a sudden, you don't need to worship the star and the moon, but about it, they serve God. God made them, and they help you serve God. Let's put them on the fourth day. And this whole thing has to do with worshiping God. It's a liturgical book. This is telling you how to worship God. You understand? Not a scientific book. Okay, what else says? Let there be light in the dome of the sky. And now it says it will give you light. Very good. Do you understand what's going on here in this book? Don't worship any other gods, worship only God. Rest on the Sabbath day. Simple? Good. So now let's talk about evolutionism for a second. Who can tell me the theory of evolution on a grand scale, right? We're not interested in animals and everything else. Yes?
Things change over time.
Very good. How did it all start?
Really small things.
The Big Bang. Who can describe the Big Bang? Should be a boy because it has explosions in it. By the way, girls, if you're going to a movie with a boy, and it's a kissy movie, a girly movie, he's going to go because he's polite and loves you. We love explosions. The movie's quality is directly proportional with the number of explosions in it. We men believe. Correct? Correct. So, it has explosions. Go ahead. Somebody, a boy, tell me about the Big Bang Theory. Seriously.
There was nothing before. I mean, everything was dense.
How big was it?
Small.
Like this.
Small.
So the whole universe was concentrated in something like this. Can you imagine? It's like going to the ballpark and you buy some of that cotton candy. The density is very fluffy, right? And then you take it and you push it together and it's this big, right? Imagine the whole universe cotton candy. Make it small, 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 small. And it's this big, right? What was around it?
Nothing.
Nothing. What is nothing?
I don't know.
The absence of thing.
So there is no space. That's already a mind-blowing concept, right? There was nothing around it. And by the way, please understand, we're not talking theology right now, we're talking about one scientific theory, right? Emphasis on theory, not the scientific. Theory is the most prevalent today. It actually makes sense to me around Bordeianu, but it's a theory. So, what happened to that egg? It was apparently like this.
It exploded.
Boom! Big Bang. Right? And since then, it expands. We can actually measure the universe and we see that it's expanding. And mathematically, we can calculate the center of the universe. That's the data that we have today, correct? So that's why the explosion happened, and there's the theory of the Big Bang. Good. Is this about the Big Bang theory? If you absolutely want to find some things in the story that resemble the Big Bang theory, I guess you could. One, God made that ball, the initial egg, right? Which the Big Bang theory doesn't really tell you. You go ask any science professor and say, who made it? And they don't have an answer for you, right? They will just tell you it was very unstable. That's all, but we don't know. And what's going to happen? Is the universe going to continue to expand until it cools down and there's no more movement? Is the universe going to come back and then explode again? They don't know. They don't know. One thing they know for sure, had the Big Bang happened again, there is a very small chance that the universe would look the way it looks right now. So as a religious person, you say, you see, so God guided that whole process. Can you see in your text maybe a symbol for that primordial egg? Yes, please.
Was it the shapeless bird?
Yes, shapeless earth. Is that what your text says? I thought you said
Formless void.
formless void. Very good. The formless void, right? So it's something that's a formless void, and then God shapes it. I introduced the concept of shaping because there's another energy in the sense of a potter that's taking a bunch of clay and then you make a beautiful vessel. Right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you really wanted to compare it to science, maybe you could. But in my opinion, these stories are kind of like this, going in very different directions, and they're not on the same thing. One is trying to tell you, celebrate the Sabbath, worship only God, and the other one is trying to tell you how the world was made. This one places the sun and the moon only on the fourth day because it wants to tell you worship only God. The other one will tell you that, of course, the sun came before the earth. These two are very, very different, right?